Get cool stuff for what you were going to do anyway. Drink beer. With Buy Beer, Get Gear from Labatt, you can just snap a photo of your receipt and upload it to the website to rack up points for exclusive merch. Get points for every purchase, whether you're grabbing a pint on draft, a case for a party, or a tall boy at the stadium. Any size, any product, anywhere you buy Labatt. Buy beer, get gear. Sign up now at rewards.labattusa.com.
Hey, Dabo Swinney, congrats. I got you in, baby.
This is entertainment. People pay to watch this.
Pass to a cutting Hiltz. He darts in. He scores!
People actually subscribe.
All across central New York.
Time expired! Syracuse has done it!
It's Drive Time with your host, Tim Leonard.
Hey, guess what? I'm getting wide. Hey!
We welcome you into Drive Time. Orange football game week against Clemson, and we're continuing to get you ready for it. Big game on Saturday down in Death Valley. There'll be a noon kickoff for the Cuse. We're here with you 5 to 6 p.m. like usual on the weeknights going forward. Make us a part of your routine. Get on in the Q Sports Talk chat. I already see the chat is buzzing about Dabo Swinney. He had another rant right ahead of this game against Syracuse. Dabo with an all-time press conference today. It was like 55 minutes. So we'll have to get into that right off the top here. Dabo Swinney standing up for his job, saying he's not bleeping leaving. Going full Wolf of Wall Street on us this morning in his Monday, or I guess Tuesday, press conference for Dabo. So we'll get into that. What to make of Clemson? That's the big thing on my mind right now. I think we've kind of turned the page from Colgate. Nice to see the Orange get a win. It was an FCS opponent. They took care of business. And now the fun really begins. Clemson on the road. 17.5-point favorites right now over the Cuse. That's a Clemson team that is 1-2 on the season. But as we'll hear from Dabo Swinney, they've been here before. He's proud of his program, his track record. They have been very good at staying together and getting better as the season has progressed. There have been several times in the last 14, 15 years where we've thought after the first 3, 5, 7 weeks of the season, yeah, this Clemson team isn't that good. And then they end the season pretty well. Dabo started his press conference today talking about how we played the first quarter of the season. There's still 3 more quarters. No football game is over after the first quarter. We learned that if you're a Syracuse fan in that UConn game. No football game is over even if you look terrible through 3 quarters based on how the Orange played in week 2. So Dabo's saying all the things that you should be saying, and he brought the receipts out, and he went in on the critics earlier today. So we got to get to that right off the top. Phone lines are again open throughout the show today. We had lots of you call in yesterday. Love hearing from you. Love hearing your thoughts on Syracuse football. And again, the phone number is 315-437-7644. That is 4 ESPN 44. Do you think 17.5 points is a little too much for Clemson to be favored by over the Cuse? Orange at 2-1, Tigers 1-2. Lost week 1 to LSU 17-10. Came back to beat Troy in week 2. They were down 16-0 late stages of the first half. Won that game 27-16. And then lost again last week on the road. Tough game against the Georgia Tech team that is now ranked. But a Georgia Tech team that the Orange beat last year, they will see later on in the season this year. And again, the offense, couple costly turnovers from quarterback Cade Klubnik. Big drop from their top active and healthy wide receiver, Brian Wesco. Late in the game, could have finished the game, and a 55-yard field goal from Brent Key's Georgia Tech team in a fire drill situation. Aiden Burr hit it from 55. Would have been good probably from 65 or 70. Tremendous kick for the Georgia Tech kicker down in Atlanta to put Clemson at 1-2 on the season for the first time since 2014. Now, they recovered that year. They finished the year 10-3. And the beauty for them of the current state of things in college football is you can start 1-2, and your chances of making the college football playoff aren't completely off the table. Right now, The Athletic gives the Tigers a 18% chance to make the college football playoff. The path for them is winning the ACC championship. They pretty much have to win out. They've got games against Miami, Florida State, South Carolina, who they lost to last year, their rival at the end of the season. And then you'd probably have to win an ACC championship game as well if you got to that point. So they've played the first quarter of the season according to Dabo. They've been here before. Let's just get into his presser. If you missed it, this was earlier today, Dabo Swinney, and boy, he had a lot to say. He went for like 20 minutes straight. I think there was one question in the middle of this 55-minute presser. From about minute 15 to minute 35, it was just all Dabo. He was going and he was doing the Dabo thing and trying to defend his program. And we'll try and make sense of what to make of this, but let's just play you the rant from Dabo Swinney earlier today. He starts out by going back to the 2023 season 2 years ago. They were 4-4. They lost all these close games, bad turnovers in the red zone, really shaky start. And then they did win the final 5 games of the year, won their bowl game, and finished the year 9-4. So he starts out by referencing that and kind of trying to prove to everyone that are the critics, although he says he doesn't listen to the critics or read the critics. But still, he brought the receipts to prove to them today that we've been here before. This is a down moment. We're going to be fine.
We're a great program because we've always responded. And we finished 9-4. It's the worst season we've had in 14 years. That's the worst season we've had in 14 years. How many ADs would sign up for that? And we come back last year and we win the league again. We go back to the playoff. And right now, here we are. This is yet to be determined. This ain't written yet. What's so bad about our program? What's so bad about it? About the worst season that we've had 14 years. How many programs in college football would sign up for one, and only once, 14 years of 9 wins? How many programs would sign up for that? And the playoffs, so we all talk about, we've been 7 times in 10 years. Who can say that? If we stink because we haven't played for the national championship since January of 20, well, I guess we stink.
So he's bringing out the receipts, and this is just Dabo getting started. He's got more. I mean, he literally went back to his first year. He walked you through every single year that he's been on the job, like he was flexing his memory. In his press conference this morning, he was like, yeah, 2010, worst year. 2011, we had so-and-so down to the wire, and then we threw an interception. Do you remember that? Okay, now let's go to 2012. It was a wild press conference, and it was very Dabo. It reminded me of when he got a call from, I believe it was Tyler in Spartanburg a couple years ago on his coach's show. Now I don't think they are taking phone calls on his coach's show anymore. Tyler in Spartanburg called in. He may have been one of the last ones, and Dabo went for about 4 or 5 minutes. Must have been the 2023 season he's mentioning there where they started out shaky, and he said, what do you want us to do, roll over and quit? Well, we didn't quit, and we won the last 5 games, and we finished 9-4, and as he said several times there, that is the only time in the last 14 years that they have not gotten to 10 wins, which is remarkable. We know Clemson has been remarkably good under Dabo Swinney. The way he went about this press conference today, I gotta say, maybe it's too easy of a parallel considering where we all are and what our allegiance is, and we're on Syracuse radio, but it felt a little bit like Jim Boeheim towards the end of his tenure. There were several press conferences. There's a couple that stick out in my mind where Coach Boeheim, remember once after the 2016 Final Four run, it's early 2017, they're off to a bad start. And he's just going after the reporters. I think it was Bud Polkwin of the paper saying, you know, we were lucky last year and all this, and coming through with all these stats to defend how they were not lucky when they made it to the Final Four and went on that run as a 10 seed in 2016. And going through all of his career accomplishments, not to the extent that Dabo did. This was a whole nother level. I'm talking 20 minutes of him walking you through all his memorable games of his Clemson career, basically. So he starts out and he just wants to make it known that we have been here before. We're 1-2. We were 1-2 in 2014. And he's right. They have been very good at finishing seasons and getting better as the season has progressed. Still, they finished seasons well in the last couple years, and it hasn't gotten them to where Clemson was 5-6 years ago, which conveniently was pre-transfer portal era. And Dabo is famous for not caring about the transfer portal. They did add a couple players this year. Finally, they added more than 0, but he's not really evolving a ton with name, image, and likeness, with transfer portal. Rev share was brought up in this press conference. Things like that. Is it the idea that the ACC now is lagging behind more than they were 5-6 years ago from a financial standpoint? Is that making things tougher on Clemson when you factor in the rev share and what the ACC is trying to do to sweeten the pot for Clemson and Florida State to stay in the conference? There's excuses you could throw out there. Obviously, I don't think they should fire Dabo Swinney, but he continues with the rant and brings up how, going off of the fact that they have always come back from this, don't give up on us, even though it's already a 1-2 start and they are not where they want to be through 3 games.
We're not perfect, and we may suck this year. We may lay a freaking egg and go 6-6, but I don't think so. And I know that's going to disappoint a lot of people, but I don't think so. All right. The reason we are, I think, the best program in college football is because we've always battled. We've always responded. We are not perfect. We've had some bad moments. We've had some bad little stretches. We've had some lows, and this is one of those.
And it certainly is a low right now for Clemson, and that's why he is defending himself and bringing out the receipts, and he says he doesn't care, or he's not reading. That's the only difference. I think Boeheim would admit, yeah, I read the stuff, and it annoys me. Dabo's like, no, I don't read, but a couple people have texted me, I'm praying for you, and that's when I know it's bad. When people that I don't even hear from are texting me out of the blue and saying, I'm praying for you, you'll get through this. So he wants to make it very clear that he's doing fine. This is not the most adversity he's faced in his life, and the program is going to be fine. We brought up 2014. That's the one that keeps getting mentioned because they started 1-2. They closed the year 10-3. That's their last time being 1-2 through 3 games. 2021, they were 4-3. They won the last 6 games of the season to finish 10-3. The 2023 season we already talked about, that is the one year they didn't get to 10 wins, but they won the last 5 games to go 9-4. And then last year's another example. They got smoked by Georgia in week 1. 34-3. Didn't look the part. They lost to Louisville. They lost to South Carolina, and that felt like the nail in the coffin for them until the whole start to our show. Fran Brown's quote right off the top every day on this show in the open. Dabo Swinney, I got you in, baby. Until Fran and the Orange came through, and then Dabo did return the favor in the press conference, if you remember, after they won the ACC championship game. Wild game against SMU last year. And they played pretty well against Texas. That was one of Kate Klubnik's better games. But you go into this year, you have 5 NFL first-round draft picks on mock drafts on ESPN. You have the quarterback that everyone is saying is the best quarterback in the country. A Heisman frontrunner in Kate Klubnik. Well, through 3 games now, Klubnik has 3 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. He has not looked good. Stats are coming out that show he has been really good against lesser competition. He hasn't been great against the big boys. Kate Klubnik is 15-11 against Power 4 competition in his time as the Clemson starter. Last year, he went off against the likes of App State, and he did, like I said, play pretty well late in the year. The Texas game was one of his better games, and I think that inspired some optimism, and that's why Todd McShay had him as the number 1 draft pick about a month ago in the 2026 NFL mock draft. Well, after 3 weeks, I saw today, CBS Sports ranked the top 50 quarterbacks in college football. Kate Klubnik wasn't on the list. Kate Klubnik was the Heisman favorite 3 weeks ago. He, like Arch Manning, is not anywhere near the Heisman favorite list. And it has been a weird year in college football where things are not going according to plan. But we got to give you the final quote from Dabo. This is his mic drop moment where he goes in even more on the idea of If you want me gone, that's fine. If Clemson wants me gone, that's fine. Here is Dabo ranting some more and trying to defend the status of the Clemson program.
If they want me gone, if they tired of winning, they can send me on the way, because that's all we've done is win. So if they tired of winning, we've won this league 8 out of the last 10 years. Is that not good? I don't know if that's good or not. To win your league 8 out of 10 years, to go to the playoffs 7 out of 10 years, to be in 4 national championships, win it twice. Yeah, we're a little down right now. Take your shots, but I got a long memory, in case y'all don't know. We'll be all right. We'll bounce back. This is a program built to last. Always has been. Always will be. And hey, listen, I mean, if Clemson's tired of winning, they send me on my way, but I'm going to go somewhere else and coach. I ain't going to the beach. Hell, I'm 55. I got a long way to go. Y'all going to have to deal with me for a while. I got a long way to go. I'm just getting going. I'm just now good enough to be a head coach. I'm just now figuring it out. So we'll be around a while. Let's hang in there.
So that will be making the national news this week. Dabo Swinney going in on his press conference earlier today, defending Clemson, defending his status as the head coach, all of that, bringing out the receipts, and it was very, very Dabo Swinney. And I don't really know what to make of it. If you have thoughts on what this means for Syracuse's chances and how Dabo has approached this, I mean, this is going to be a national storyline, and it might put more spotlight on Clemson this week. And we can also get into, he was very complimentary of Fran Brown in this press conference. We can get into some of his thoughts on overall how Clemson matches up against Syracuse and what scares him about Syracuse's offense and what stands out, because he had some good thoughts on that as well. We welcome your phone calls, too, as always, here, 315-437-7644. What do you make of a very Jim Boeheim-like rant earlier today, I thought, from Dabo Swinney, and the Orange's just overall chances here as we creep closer to that Saturday noon kickoff? They are 17.5-point underdogs to a 1-2 Clemson team that clearly Dabo Swinney is trying to stand up for right now and say, we've got a lot of season left and we're going to figure this out. It's been a wild week of coach press conferences. Brian Kelly, now Dabo Swinney. Hop on in the Q Sports Talk chat. Ring us up, 315-437-7644. We'll get to your phone calls after this break on ESPN Radio and QSportsTalk.com.
John Frosson.
Yeah, Dabo is one of a kind. 6-6 would be something. He cracked me up with that one. Yeah, we might lay an egg. We might go 6-6. Klubnik, yeah, he's not really backing it up this year, San Diego Cuse. Now, he's played pretty well against teams that are similar statistically to a Syracuse defensively. I will say I didn't realize he's only 55. Is that just me? I thought he was like 60. I don't know, 61 maybe. Yeah, Syracuse has been pretty good down in Death Valley at matching them. This is a big game. I'm really interested. I think this will tell us a lot about, obviously, how good this team is this year, but also just how good of a coach Fran is. I mean, I know we all think very highly of him, and I'm not saying you shouldn't. This is just going to be a fascinating one. I mean, their personnel is not nearly as good, and I can kind of see why Vegas has Clemson such heavy favorites, just because of the stuff I've laid out. They've always come back from these situations, and they're very desperate, but Syracuse is going to play hard too, and Syracuse also has not much to lose in this game. Yeah, Boeheim I always enjoyed the rants. They made me laugh. Kev, you're getting used to the routine. I love it. Let's see if we can get Paulie in the chat again. Sick Paulie recovering. He popped in last night. I don't know if Darian Williams returned kicks. I mean, he is very, very fast. I'm going to talk about Darian Williams later, San Diego Cuse. I do think he is someone that we could see out of the guys that showcased. I think it's a little easy to overreact to a freshman looking good against Colgate. That doesn't really mean they're going to play a ton. I mean, the schedule's really tough. So you're only going to work them in spots probably, but I think Darian Williams might be the exception to that. Yeah, let Paulie rest up. I think he just sent me some video as I was talking. I saw it. Speaking of Indy. Yes, he sent an Indy video. So he's recovering. Slowly but surely. Yeah, he was quick. All those freshmen were quick. Tyreek Hill, he was fast. I haven't even really seen Malachi James, who's supposed to be the fastest of them all. I mean, we've seen him, but I was hoping that might be a game where he would showcase his skills a little more. Bruce Springsteen brings us back from the break. Drive Time with Tim Leonard, new show. What is this, week 3 of the new show? Thanks to all of you for tuning in from the start. If you are tuned in from when we got this off the ground, back on Labor Day, start of the month. It's been a whole lot of fun. We're talking a lot of Q Sports now, 5 to 6 p.m. You can always listen to the podcast at the conclusion of the show, which has each and every word I said on the show. Our 1-hour podcasts going out right around 6:30 or so into your podcast feed. So if you're more of a morning commuter, want to keep up to date on Syracuse sports, keep that in mind going forward is the podcast feed. Also, all our shows are immediately archived on our YouTube page, Q Sports Talk, and on QSportsTalk.com, which is our Twitch stream, and the chat is alive and rolling on the Twitch stream right now, so we can get to some of your comments in the chat. Also, if you have thoughts on the Dabo Swinney rant this morning and other things going on in the Syracuse sports world, call in right now. Phone lines are open throughout the show today at 315-437-7644 is always the phone number to call, and we welcome your thoughts throughout the show today. Do want to remind you, we're talking a lot about this Clemson game, how meaningful it is, and you could go out to Shaughnessy's and enjoy the Clemson game and our Labatt watch party, which is coming up on Saturday. Remember, it's a noon start, so if you want to hang out at Shaughnessy's Irish Pub right by the Marriott Syracuse downtown, you can chill there. Giovanni Heater will be doing his pregame show starting at 9 a.m., Mike McAllister out there with him, and they will be doing a live watch party with all of you at Shaughnessy's. Everyone in the Q Sports Talk chat as well will be streaming it live on Saturday, our Labatt watch party. And we have some pretty sweet things that you can register for to give away, including some SU football season tickets and a pair of the 2026 men's basketball ACC tournament tickets. So if you want to get a jump start on some tickets, you can just show up to Shaughnessy's Saturday. It'll be a noon watch party, noon kickoff. Pregame starts at 9 a.m. Gio and Mike will be out there all day. They'll do the postgame show live from Shaughnessy's, and you can register on site for some SU football season tickets and a pair of 2026 men's basketball ACC tournament tickets. That is our Labatt Clemson watch party at Shaughnessy's, brought to you by Labatt Blue. our friends who are all over our studio. We got the Labatt light behind us, and of course, you can listen to all of that on ESPN Syracuse on Saturday. Let's go to the phone lines right now. Let's check in with Mark in New York City. Mark, what's on your mind?
Hey, Tim. Week 4 going on down to Clemson. I realize it's our first outdoor game of the year.
Yeah.
First time we're playing on natural grass. Just curious if you know if the team's been practicing outside and how you think that might affect the team playing on grass and not turf for the first time this season.
Yeah, I mean, of course they have been practicing outside. I'm sure they do that. It's customary when it is a game week where you're going outside. So I think they will continue to do that throughout the week. They're aware of that. And, yeah, it's a good point because the Tennessee game, of course, was indoors. I think the thing that will be fascinating is the field goal kicking, how many touchbacks will there be. Stuff like that is obviously going to become tougher. Trip Woody, we really haven't seen be tested a ton in terms of lengthy field goals or just field goals, period, to this point. So it's going to be a different deal for the team. And I think that is partially why, another reason why the Vegas line is 17.5 is we've talked a lot about it being a young team, and this is their first outdoor game, and it's their first true road game of the year. I do feel like the Tennessee game was basically a road environment. So I'm not trying to totally excuse that. Well, this is going to be different. This is going to be about as hostile of an environment as you can have in the ACC. I know Clemson's fan base is on edge, and that's why Dabo went on his rant today to try and defend where the program is right now because he's feeling the heat a little bit. But Clemson's going to pack that place. It's going to be a sellout. It'll be a nice night, it looks like, or a nice day, I should say, because it's a noon kick. And all the running down the hill and everything like that is going to be in place. And I think that's going to be interesting, just how well the team holds up, knowing that Steve Angeli's never really made a start in this environment before. I mean, he's played in big spots, but this is a true road start for the first time, basically, for Steve Angeli as a college quarterback. This is a true road start for a lot of guys on the offensive line, going up against a couple potential top 10 picks, according to NFL mock drafts going into the season. They had one edge rusher and then a defensive lineman that are all over first-round mock drafts right now. So we know Clemson's more talented. I'm sure we're going to be all tired of hearing me say that throughout the week, and everyone else that's talking about Syracuse football. We know personnel-wise where the Orange stack up. We know that Clemson's more experienced. But can the Orange play spoiler, and can they harness that they really have nothing to lose, and Clemson has the weight of the world on their shoulders right now? And the way that Dabo was ranting today, you can tell he's feeling the heat a little bit. Whether he says it or not, whether he says he reads things or not, it's getting back to him, and he understands that 1 and 2 is not acceptable. And he understands his team is not making routine plays. They have not looked good on offense. He had a lot to say today about how their offense has been bad. And as much as they have a new defensive coordinator and you can kind of understand some growing pains there, it's really their offense. I mean, they only allowed 1 touchdown to Troy, which it's Troy. But still, their defense only allowed 17 points to LSU. They only allowed really 21 points to Georgia Tech because Klubnik fumbled it in their own territory and allowed an easy setup for a field goal for the Yellow Jackets in the first half. So the offense for Clemson has been really underwhelming when you went into the year thinking they had maybe the best quarterback in the country, maybe the best receivers in the country, one of the best offensive lines in the country. They look pretty average offensively so far. Going to be very interesting if it is a focused Clemson that is, really angry from the jump, or is it a Clemson that plays tight and continues to look underwhelming like what we've seen through now 12 quarters? Clemson has really only played a handful of good quarters this entire season. Syracuse has been more consistent than Clemson in some regards this year. They played less of a schedule, but Clemson didn't even look good in the first half against Troy. So it's kind of the same conversation we're having with the Kansas City Chiefs right now at the NFL level. Surely Clemson's going to figure it out because the track record says they will figure it out at some point. Surely the Chiefs are going to figure it out. But also, the Chiefs are 0-2 for a reason. They haven't looked good. They haven't been playing well. It's not fluky. nothing's fluky about the way Clemson has started here. They're 1-2, and a lot of it is because they haven't been good on offense. They really haven't done much on defense. All these Clemson writers are worried that they're over rotating on the defensive line, and Dabo's clapping back about that. They've got some things to figure out, fundamental things that you can tell are really upsetting Dabo Swinney. More from Dabo earlier today. Let's get into what he had to say about Syracuse and his good pal Fran Brown, who was the one who got the Orange or the Tigers into the ACC championship game last year, of course. Here's what Dabo had to say about what stands out about a Coach Brown team and the Orange offense.
Very tough football team, well coached. Fran is a guy that I got a lot of respect for, and his team plays really hard. I mean, these guys are physical. They are physical as crap on both sides of the ball. They fly around. The quarterback came in he was the backup at Notre Dame, and he's done a heck of a job. I think they're third in the country in passing offense, and he might be leading the nation in passing. It doesn't mean they don't run the ball. Everything really starts with them running the ball to pass the ball. The back is kind of like Maffa. He's a 235-pound back. Big, thick kid, strong downhill runner, but every run they have is an RPO. I mean, everything. The kid can pass it every snap.
So that's something that you hear a lot from coaches around the league and opponents of Syracuse, that it's jarring how much they are running RPOs, being run-pass options. And Dabo went out of his way to point that out. Here's what he had to say just overall about the way that they use those RPOs and what stands out schematically about Jeff Nixon and Syracuse's offense.
A bunch of RPO. Most of the RPO stuff is more, perimeter stuff, bang eights, a lot of empty. Where a lot of times you go empty, it's a lot of quick game and things like that, but they'll take some shots out of empty. So double moves, a little bit of everything. So, it's a lot of verticals. They'll push the ball down the field, but the quarterback's a good player.
So obviously not surprising that the head coach of the opponent is going to praise Syracuse in his weekly press conference ahead of the game. I did think it was interesting how much Dabo was applauding the Orange offense, how explosive the passing game is. And the other thing I took away is he kind of went out of his way a couple times, and I didn't really have it in the clips we cut up to play back here. But during the press conference, he went out of his way to say they're very aggressive on defense. They're very physical. Some of those traits that Fran Brown really wants his teams to stand by, Dabo is picking up on that. So as much as Dabo might be on the hot seat to Tyler in Spartanburg or the random person down in Clemson, he's a really good football coach, and it's fascinating to see that he is very impressed by the Orange from an X's and O's standpoint and just how hard they play. And I know he's going to say that about all of the opponents this year, but it did feel like he kind of went out of his way to give Fran his props and to show some respect to Syracuse, which is good to see because Syracuse should be getting the respect. And sometimes it feels like the other teams in the ACC or just the ACC pundits in general haven't picked up on it as much as maybe Dabo has. We'll hit a timeout. We'll be back to dive into our Top 5 Tuesday. We're going to break down the 5 biggest risers for Syracuse football through the first 3 weeks of the season, the 5 players that have been most stock up after 3 weeks of the Orange football season. We'll do that in our Top 5 Tuesday next. Your phone call could be next as well at 315-437-7644. Back after this on Drive Time, ESPN Radio, QSportsTalk.com. The rant, Kev, was basically him just saying, I'm not leaving, and if they want to get rid of me, they can get rid of me. I'll find another job. But we've been here before. We're a great program. You guys shouldn't be upset. 14 years. We're worst season's a 9-win year, yada, yada. I think he did say Angeli at one point. Actually say his name. Yeah, Deuce needs to be good. The secondary, Demetrius Samuel has looked good the last 2 weeks, but, they're going to pick on him. They're going to go right to him like Tennessee did, probably. And these are the best wide receivers Syracuse has seen. I know Brazzell for Tennessee's a nice player, but Tennessee's wideouts weren't considered a strength of the team. They're actually considered a weakness. And they've looked solid, but they had some drops early in that game. This is a good group, especially if they get Antonio Williams back. He could be a first-round pick on mock drafts, and he's been gone since early stages of the first game. So if they get him back, then it's worrisome for Syracuse. Yeah, cover would be... I mean, it would show you that this team's got the talent, and you might walk away from it and be like, gosh, if they got Clemson later in the year, or that was only road game 1 for this young team, they'll grow from this, they'll get better. But you want to be competitive, because this is a Clemson team that's kind of reeling right now, and if you aren't competitive, it'll be a little disappointing, considering you weren't competitive against Tennessee, really. I mean, you were, but, the start was so bad, it put you behind the 8 ball. Yeah, their D hasn't been unbelievable, but it's more an offensive issue for them. I mean, you got to get Angeli out healthy every game, right? I know what you mean, because Syracuse has gone down there and gotten bruised and battered against Clemson before, and Dungy in particular, but, that's a concern every time. I don't know if it's slightly more of a concern when you go up against a team like this, but I do think Syracuse is better equipped personnel-wise than when they were constantly, losing almost twice when they went down to these big games. So they just got beaten up. They practice harder, they condition more, they're stronger, they're just better athletes now. Yeah, you can't fall behind too much. You don't want to give the crowd... I mean, Clemson's not... They usually take care of business once they get a lead against a team of Syracuse's caliber, and that's the thing. We're all talking about Cade Klubnik and how much he struggled this year, and he did look bad against Troy even, but Klubnik has been very good when he's gone up against defenses that are, 90th in the country, which is basically where Syracuse is right now. Turnovers are always important when you're an underdog, for sure. That's what's cost Clemson, really. A couple bad turnovers to Georgia Tech. Welcome back into Drive Time. Tim Leonard with you until the top of the hour. Weeknights going forward. We'll chat with Chris Brown tomorrow on the show as the Bills have a Thursday night game this week. Chat with the Buffalo Bills play-by-play man Chris Brown tomorrow. Adam Terry should be on the show Thursday. And we'll drop our prediction for the Clemson game on Friday. We welcome your phone calls throughout the rest of the show today and the rest of the week. 315-437-7644. That's 4ESPN44 is always the phone number to call. If you have thoughts on Orange football, Orange basketball, may be able to sneak in some basketball before we wrap up the show today. But let's get into our Tuesday tradition, which is a Top 5 Tuesday.
Open up the notebook and let's rank something.
Always remember, you ain't first, you're last.
It's a Top 5 Tuesday.
Yes, it is. And the top 5 we are ranking today is the biggest risers on the Syracuse football team here through the first 3 weeks of the season. Who are the guys that our opinion has changed about the most in a positive direction from where they were on the depth chart and in our minds in the preseason and in fall and even spring camp to now where we are thinking about them as we have gotten into the season and played 3 games to this point. So, with that being said, let's start the countdown backwards from number 5.
Number 5.
Number 5 on our list of biggest risers for the Syracuse football team this year. I'm going to go with Cornell Perry. He has been playing a lot at the safety position because of the injury to Devin Grant the last couple weeks. Cornell Perry was someone I didn't know would return to Syracuse in the middle of last season. Thought he might be a guy that would opt for the transfer portal, and shout out to him. He's had a nice start to the year. He's been under the radar. We haven't said his name a lot, which is usually a good thing. When you're talking about a defensive player and a secondary piece, he's filled in nicely at the safety position. I always viewed him as a little undersized, but he is playing well, and he's doing it in Devin Grant's spot. He has started the last couple games. I thought we would see maybe more Barry Buxton at safety than we have, and I know he was banged up early on. I don't know if that's injury related, but Buxton has been playing. He just hasn't been playing as much as Cornell Perry or some of the other guys, and I think Cornell Perry has quietly had a very nice start to the year.
Number 4.
How about Jamie Trimble, the linebacker, is stock up right now through 3 weeks. One, because we didn't even know Jamie Trimble was a linebacker 3-4 weeks ago. He changed his number right at the end of fall camp, 282, which implied that they were seriously considering getting him out there on defense. We heard all about his prowess at tight end. We knew he was a very highly ranked guy, a great athlete, one of the better recruits that Dino ever had, and Fran was able to keep him as part of that first recruiting class once the coaching change happened. We saw him play 2 ways week 1, and then Fran Brown said that he wanted him to only play defense in week 3, and I think he realizes the linebacker position is a weakness on the team right now, and Jamie Trimble is someone that I'm guessing we're going to see more and more of. Really curious to see if he plays a lot against Clemson, because that'll tell us exactly how Fran feels about him. We didn't see him against UConn at all. Then we saw him start against Colgate. Did he make enough strides? Is he getting comfortable enough with the playbook defensively that they are ready to put one of the better athletes on the team out there as a full-time linebacker? It feels like it's trending that way. We know Dan Villari is the guy at tight end. You feel really good about the offensive tight end position. You don't feel great about linebackers, and maybe we will continue to see more of Jamie Trimble.
Number 3.
Darian Williams is number 3 on our list of the biggest risers for Syracuse football through 3 weeks. Biggest guys that are stock up after 3 games, and Darian Williams has only played in 1 game this year, but that was because he was injured. Fran Brown said on his first coach's show of the year ahead of the opener against Tennessee, he was asked by a local fan what to make of Darian Williams, the CBA product, his role this year, and he said, quote, he would have been playing against Tennessee if he wasn't hurt. So based on that, and based on how he looked when he got out there, which was really effective, really quick, caught his first touchdown as a Syracuse player in the Dome. We know he's had a pretty memorable one in his state championship win, the Hail Mary catch for CBA last year. He looks like a guy that might see the field, actually, out of the group of players that were young and went into the game in the second half against Colgate. He is my best bet right now as someone that could actually crack the 2 deep going forward. And to me, he has jumped Yamari Hatcher and some other guys that we were thinking were ahead of him. We have really not seen Hatcher except for just a couple snaps against Colgate. He was listed on the 2 deep. Darian Williams was not, but clearly they think more highly of Darian Williams at this point in the season. I'm interested to see if we see more of the freshman from CBA.
Number 2.
Number 2 is Darryl Gill. He was already high on our list. He was already probably considered by most one of the best players on the team going in. But the guy just was named ACC Receiver of the Week. He completely tore it up against Colgate, and a lot of people reached out to me and said, I did not know Darryl Gill was that good. It was kind of a full circle moment for him because his first college touchdown was against Colgate, and he's another example of a player that waited his time and could have hit the portal and didn't. Fran Brown talked about last year how he wanted Darryl Gill at the start of last season to move to defensive back. He tried to have that conversation for him to go to DB, and now he is joking about how he's glad he didn't do that because we saw Darryl Gill is a guy that can be an all-ACC wide receiver. And I know it was against Colgate, and I know you're not going to moss a dude like that when he plays defensive back for Clemson, but the guy has still looked really good, and he's picked up right where he left off from last year. So I think he is still one of the big risers for the Orange football team through the first 3 weeks of the season.
Number 1.
Number 1 on our list is the true freshman Antoine Delorier, the linebacker who kind of came out of nowhere. We didn't even know that he would be on the depth chart. He was starting week 1 against Tennessee, and everyone I have talked to has said he has made the biggest jump from week 1 to week 2. He is a young guy that is just getting it right now. He's getting better and better, and he is grading out as the best linebacker on this team as a true freshman. He doesn't look like a true freshman, and the way he is playing is anything but someone that is a true freshman. We thought going into the year we'd be saying Derek McDonald's name a lot at linebacker. We'd be saying Gary Bryant's name a lot. We haven't really called their name much. Gary Bryant grades out with a 62 PFF grade to this point in the season. Derek McDonald really didn't even play that much against Colgate. He's certainly not one of the starters right now. He had a 50 PFF grade through the first 3 weeks. Antoine Delorier has a 76 PFF grade. Doesn't mean everything, but he had the pass breakup against UConn, one of the plays of the season. And he is someone that is checking all the boxes of being, honestly, maybe a freshman All-American like we saw from Murad Watson last year. So he, to me, is the biggest riser for the Orange football team through the first 3 weeks of the season. Final break here on Drive Time. We'll talk a little hoops on the other side. Break down where we stand with Syracuse basketball right now. We're actually 50 days exactly away from the opener. That's next on Drive Time on ESPN Radio, QSportsTalk.com.
Saturday, the Orange.
You got Guild, yeah. Yeah, Jonte Cook, I think we all thought he was going to be wide receiver 1, and Gill might be that guy, or even JRS, but I think Cook's just banged up. But he's definitely not stock up, Cook. I mean, Mike, you've kind of gotten your wish this week because it was me and Steve. You didn't have to deal with Paulie. But no, noon to 6 would not be good for my social life, my just overall well-being. That would be a lot of time talking. Let's see. Paulie gave me an update, I think. This is very important. Will Paulie be here? Oh, he says he feels much better. Wanted to take a day. He said he wanted to take a day today to not be as germy. Steve appreciated that. So, it looks like Paulie's back in our lives tomorrow, folks. It looks like it is the typical Orange Nation based on that. The question is the voice going to hold up? That's the kind of breaking news you get in the Q Sports Talk chat here. Yeah, Mike's the air hockey star. Those are the things that we don't have someone spinning the basketball as much. We don't have someone playing air hockey as much. We miss you, Mike. What are we doing without you? Nothing fun, clearly. Kicking field goals very poorly, I might add. That'd be nice. Let's see. Is anyone in... I failed on the YouTube chat again. I was about to say, is anyone in there, but I wouldn't even see it. We learned today you have to... If you're with us on Orange Nation, you got to be... Is SU Talk 44 Mark in the YouTube chat? He said, we need Mark at NYC to call in. He always has a good call. Maybe it's Mark's number one fan. I agree, though. Mark always does have a great call. He's got to be the most frequent caller of the new show. And he's been calling in all week on Orange Nation, too. I do miss your professionalism, Mike. That's the one thing that stands out the most about you. How professional you are. You're like Stephen Fonte. Mark is that guy? Okay. I agree with Mark's alias.
ESPN Syracuse sports talk shows on QSportsTalk.com.
Last call on the program tonight. Drive time with Tim Leonard. Call in right now. We can work you in. 315-437-7644. That's 4 ESPN 44. All our shows on the Q Sports Talk Twitch stream, Q Sports Talk YouTube chat as well. Live podcasts will be dropping shortly. Podcasts will be dropping shortly. If you missed any of the show today, we'll chat with Chris Brown tomorrow, and then Adam Terry will be our guest on Thursday as we get you ready for Syracuse and Clemson. Do want to wrap up talking a little Q's Hoops. It is 50 days out from the men's basketball season opener. The Orange will be going out there for year 3 of the Red Autry era, and we know what is at stake here. We know it's a very important season. I saw John Rothstein talking about the team yesterday. We're getting into that swing of things, and it's going to be coming quicker than we think usually. So I was doing some research today on KenPom, one of my favorite sites that ranks the preseason rankings for every team and their efficiency metrics throughout the year. And it's really easy to go back through and see what Syracuse teams recently have overachieved on that preseason ranking, what Syracuse teams have underachieved. And as you might guess, they have mostly underachieved since the Final Four run in 2016, where Syracuse actually started that year KenPom 33, so 33rd best team in the country in the preseason from KenPom, to 22nd. They finished it up, even though they made it to the Final Four. Their efficiency metrics had them 22nd best team in the country. Since that year, which is the last time that Syracuse has made a deep run in the tournament. Of course, they've made other runs, Sweet 16, and they had the nice Tyus Battle year where they upset Michigan State, one of the wildest upsets in the program's history at Little Caesars Arena. Since that year, 9 seasons have passed, and the Orange have overachieved their ranking or finished the year better than their preseason KenPom ranking just twice. Year 1 of the Red Autry era, 2024, is one example. They were 105 in the preseason metrics. They finished 79th on KenPom. And the other year is 2018, which was kind of a nondescript year. They went from 68th in the KenPom preseason rankings to 46th in the last rankings of the season. So a slight improvement in 2018 and a slight improvement in 2024, but that still wasn't a tournament team. And those are the only years that Cuse has finished the year better than they started in the preseason metrics. Now, I say that because We don't have the KenPom rankings yet, but we do have the Bart Torvik rankings, which are usually pretty similar. And Bart Torvik has Syracuse as the 63rd best team in the country right now. Syracuse is probably going to have to exceed expectations to feel good about the season, to feel good about their chances of making the NCAA tournament, to finish top 5, top 6 in the league so that you do feel good about getting a berth in the big dance. And therefore, you feel good about Adrian Autry returning as the head coach. They're going to have to exceed expectations for the first time since 2024, which is only 2 years ago, but I should say for the third time in the last 10 years. Now, Red is 1-1, kind of. He did not exceed expectations, obviously, last year. They were 68th in the preseason. They finished 110. Year before that, 105, finished 79. Here we go into year 3, their highest ranking yet, 63, 5 spots better than they were last year. And I think a much more talented team than last year, and I'm not just saying that because we haven't seen them play yet. They are more talented than last year, and that's what everyone has been saying. So they got to find a way to exceed expectations, or else we probably know what's happening. We're probably looking for a new coach come this time next year. That's the interesting thing, though, is when you go through, Syracuse has had some decent years. They've had some nice tournament runs in that mix since the Final Four. But, I mean, you forget, 2019, they were preseason 8th best team on KenPom. They finished 35th. 2017, year after the Final Four, with Tyler Lydon and all them coming back, they were preseason 12th. They finished 50th and went on a run and had some nice moments, but lost in the NIT, did not make the tournament. We're pretty much the first team out. They've got to exceed expectations clearly this year, and they are 63rd right now on the Bart Torvik rankings going into next year. That wraps up Drive Time for tonight. We'll be back with you 5 to 6 p.m. tomorrow. Orange Nation from 12 to 2 tomorrow, as always. Have a great night. Thanks to everyone in the Q Sports Talk chat, and we'll talk to you next time on Drive Time on ESPN Radio and QSportsTalk.com.
This is Orange Nation.